Now, when you came back, and what do you do with this information? Do you report it? Do you talk to people about it?
Mm-hmm. So the typical process, anytime we fly, everything gets debriefed. So because it was a 2-seat airplane, a junior person in the jet goes down, so I was the boss, so I wasn't going down. So we have a thing called CVIC, which is the Carrier Intel Center. So they go down. We always take our tapes because we stuff when we're fighting. They take it down, and it's really to exercise the system when we're in training so that when we actually get over to, in this case, we were going over to the Persian Gulf, anything that we do comes in and gets debriefed, and then it all gets sent off. That's how you get the CNN video and all that. So they go down and they debrief, and they have to tell, hey, we chased this object. We don't know what it is, and of course, everyone now is going to make jokes because we know we're going to catch shit. That's how the Navy works,
Right.
And I told him, I said, I remember the guy in my back seat, I said, dude, we're going to catch maximum shit for this. And he goes, yes, sir. I'll show you the comics. I have them on my phone. We do, the airplane comes out. So we know it's going to come down. So he goes in, they debrief this. Both crews go in. And of course, everyone at Intel thinks this is hilarious. So the flight, Chad comes in with his tapes, when he ends. And here's the thing. Oh, VFA 41. Oh, you guys see any UFOs out there? And he pulls out that tape, drops it on the counter. He goes, yeah, it's on here. So they're like, oh, shit. So they copy it. They play it, and there's it looks like a rack system. They put the 8 mil in. It gets copied to a hard drive. And then they archive it. So you go, okay. So they got this video. And then, the ship, this spreads, if you have a rumor on the 5,000 people are going to know about it within probably 30 minutes. I mean, it spreads that. It's like a virus. So the whole ship now knows that we chased this. I guarantee the whole Princeton knew this stuff was going on. And it goes all the way up. The admiral knows about it. The captain of the ship knew about it. And then all the movies, because they play movies for us on the ship, and they run like a bar loop. So, of course, the movie selection is Men in Black 2, Signs, Independence Day, and we know we're going to be on the airplane comic because there's always a comic. So you do something stupid or like this, then you're going to be on the comic. I'll show you the comics here in a little bit. Okay. They're pretty funny. So that went on for 2 days, but, we're in the middle of workups. I got a squadron to run, so it's like, after about the first day and a half, it really died down. And there's always that closet people that you don't think that are really like UFO. And, we had one of the Marines would always come and he'd sit down. Hey, Skipper, can I sit with you? I go, you want to talk about the UFO? He goes, yeah, I can't get it out of my mind. And then we would just sit there and talk about it. And to me it was like, weirdest thing, my entire now flying career is defined by 5 minutes of chasing this white tic-tac, almost 4,000 hours, flying. So
now, do you encounter anyone else that had a similar experience?
I've talked to a couple of guys from the East Coast event, the Gimbal video. Mm-hmm. One of them I talk to daily, a pretty good friend of mine. Totally different now. Keep in mind, ours is 2004. The Gimbal video is 2015. The funny part about the Gimbal video and the East Coast stuff that was going on, because that's off the VACAPE, so off the coast of the United States, they're called warning areas, and all they are is if you look on a aviation map, they're these big areas that are blocked off by blue, and they say like Whiskey 291 or Whiskey 243. And
is the Gimbal video available in the same way that video is available?
Yes.
Okay, find that, Jamie.
So, and I was talking to him about it because I actually, a buddy of mine, he just retired. He led the fighter wing on the East Coast, and I had called him up because we start finding out that these things were so prevalent out off the East Coast of the United States, and there's them. So we're going to talk. What they started seeing originally was these things, and one of them an airplane almost hit one of these things, but it looks like a cube inside of a clear beach ball. So they don't know if it's actually like a surrounding or you don't know if it's a force field. And you see kind of in the Gimbal video, it's got like an aura around it where ours didn't. I always laugh. I go, ours was a tic-tac. These are not. That means there's different stuff out that we don't know. But they had 2 airplanes flying, and we fly when we go out to train. We have a distance. We'll just say we're a mile apart. As we're flying out, so they're flying out, and the airplanes are deployed. We call it combat spread, and one of the airplanes almost hits one of these, goes close down like 50 feet down the side, and almost hits one of these floating cubes inside of the beach ball. And someone goes, "Wow, it's a balloon." It's not a balloon. I mean, he's literally sitting still. They're no effect from the wind. So if you got 90 knots of wind, and they talk about it, these things are just sitting there. So 60 or 70 people had seen it because the radars, the newer radar in the Super Hornets is extremely, extremely capable. Okay. And at first when they started seeing stuff, they were like, it's just like, maybe it's the radar just giving me a false target. That radar doesn't give false targets. And then someone did, what Chad did is they threw their targeting flare out there, and all of a sudden when you see a heat signature or there's a return, there's obviously something out where that blip is at.
What is a targeting flare?
That's we call it the AT flare. It's a targeting flare. It sits on the left side of the airplane, and it's
so you launch it like a flare?
No, it's a FLIR, forward-looking infrared receiver.
Oh,
so it's when you see the bombs blowing up on TV, and that looks like a black and white, and you see it fly. It's the targeting pod.
Okay,
it's got a laser in it. It's got an IR marker in it. It's a very capable system that syncs up to the Hornet, so everything kind of marries up. So this is the Go Fast. No, this is Go Fast. That's not it. No, it's the other one.
No, it's the one that looks like the.
What is that one?
The Go Fast. That looks like a tic-tac. That was another one taken off the East Coast. But they grab it and
bookmark that one.
It's screaming across the ocean at a very high rate of speed. And there's been some debunkers that say, well, it's really not going that fast. It's just the way the airplane is and how the mechanics of the pod are working. When you get to the crew, because it's actually, I could ask my bud, I'm sure it's the same backseater took both of these videos. Took Go Fast video and took the gimbal video. And my buddy was on the flight with the gimbal video. But these things, so I called Ed because I'm like, hey, how many people are seeing these things? They're like 60 or 70.
60 or 70.
60 these things on radar. And I said, well, what do you do? And they said, well, we put out a NOTAM, which is a notice to airmen. It says, hey, these things are out there, so just be careful because we don't want you to hit one. Yeah.
Whoa.
And it's kind of like ours. You go, because you would ask, who do you tell? Well, everyone knows. Well, what do you do? And I said, well, because it was all white and it didn't have any markings on it, didn't have any wings, and it didn't have any rotors, and it outperformed anything that we have. I think if I would have painted China or Russia on the side.
Is this the gimbal video?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's pod.
Start from the beginning, Jamie?
What we're looking at. And when the crew finds it, now what you're not seeing, you're seeing the targeting. When you hear them start talking, when you listen to the video, you'll hear the guy go, dude, look, they're all over. Look at the SA page. So we have a situational awareness page, and whatever the radar is getting returns on, it'll show up. It's kind of like our God's eye view in the airplane. So the pod can only look at one thing. So he designates that as his primary target. So that's where the pod is staring. The radar is still seeing everything else. So what they're actually seeing in this video, when you see the object that he's tracking, when I was talking to one of the other pilots, he said when you see the radar video, there's it almost looks like a formation and from like 5 smaller ones that are moving in front of it and turn. So like a formation, these things turns and starts going the other way. And then while they're filming the gimbal video, and that's kind of the comms when you hear, dude, holy cow, look, they're all over.
This is that he's actually saying right now. Everybody knows this video. This is the one that they say turns like the Lazar craft, like belly first. However, what he's telling you right now is something that is not public yet. He's telling you there's a V formation of other objects that the public has yet to see.
You're not going to.
You're not going to.
It's a radar tape.
But there were more objects surrounding this, is what he's telling you right now, which is fascinating. The world doesn't know that yet. That's brand new. That's never been reported by New York Times, anybody.
Okay.
So you can go ahead and hit play. So the cool thing with this is, when he goes into, so he's in IR mode right now. You're still seeing no plume. He's looked 47, so they're actually turning into it. So it's starting to pull it back towards the nose. See how the number at the top is decreasing? And it's against the wind. He's in TV mode, and this thing's going to just start to roll. And you can kind of see it's got that aura around it.
Mm-hmm.
He said they were saying that just with the squares inside that look like the beach ball were the same. This thing's just hanging out. So it's on the airplane's in a left-hand turn.
So
now it's right in front. Yeah, it's rotating.
Now, this is how Lazar...
Yes.
Don't put that up. Right. Lazar described that these things would lay flat, and then when they would travel, they would turn up on their side.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they maneuvered. So this is very similar.
Eerily similar to the propulsion system that Lazar talked about, and that's why this video, we're seeing it very differently now, especially with what we know about Lazar. But the idea is that it would fly belly first in high speed mode. So if they have, these are gravity propelled. This is something that's known within the government. They're trying to back engineer it. They're trying to understand it. We know there's a program currently that they said is gone. However, it is currently active to study this. These things will turn belly first, these saucer type looking ones, And then that's the high-speed mode because they focus, allegedly, these gravity wave amplifiers. Look, this thing turns mechanically. There, again, no typical form of propulsion, as an expert is telling you. This is not a glitch. This is seen by multiple radars, multiple people. Commander Fravor was so close to it. This is something that is not aerodynamic, and it could move in ways and fashions. When he's underplaying it, when we first talked, the idea of this thing going bup, 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 it's instantaneous acceleration back and forth. There's no slowing down, no turning, like a ping pong ball. He said to me, our first talk, ping pong ball in a glass. Nothing moves like that with traditional reactionary propulsion. Somebody has technology that we don't have in our inventory at all.
So this is counterintuitive. It goes from being aerodynamic to being unaerodynamic when it goes sideways and then flies belly forward.
That's correct. It's not. It's if you talk, because I was just a guy the other day, and he said the irony with this is these things would be out there for hours. We don't have, a high performance airplane doesn't have hours worth of gas. I mean, Hornets, if we don't have aerial refueling, and we're actually out doing a mission and fighting and going fast, you're talking hour and a half, and you're coming back to land. Some airplanes are even less, based on their size. So like an F-16 doesn't have external fuel tanks. It doesn't have a lot of gas. And the Soviet airplanes are the same way. The MiG-29 does not have a lot of gas. The Su-27 cities have
because
a lot
of
gas.
weight, because of
its weight, performance, size of the airplane. So even our intercontinental bombers like B-2, they still take off and they aero refuel. They keep off so they can get to range. That's how we extend things. You got something like this that's coming down. Just think of the physics. So I'll use my incident because that's the one I really know the best. Is you've got an object coming from 80,000 feet. So I'll just tell you that 80,000, it's somewhere around 80,000 feet is where you can actually start to see the curvature of the Earth. It's considered space. So they're coming from above that. They're coming straight down. They stop at around 20,000 feet. They hang out for 3 hours, and then they go straight back up. And I know you had Elon on the show. So SpaceX is really excited because they can launch a rocket, and then they can have the booster come back to Earth and actually land on a pad. Very impressive engineering. Next to this technology, that's Model T next to a Porsche. I mean, it's like, wow, that's it? And you got something that can just at will move around. I'll take it to the next level, and I know there's a lot of talk about this, so Dave's going to go into speculation mode. But when you take a shape like that, so just take the tic-tac shape, which is shaped like a submarine. If you're using a propulsion that's non-reactive, you're just manipulating the medium that you're in, air, whatever, you can go into the water. So when you hear all the reports of, hey, we've seen these things since World War II that would come out of the water and fly, if you have a technology like this, as long as the object is sealed where you're not going to get water inside of it, there's nothing that says you can't do that. Because all you're doing is you're not, where a jet engine sucks in air and blows it out the back, or a propeller actually pushes the water, it's a force. Now you've got something that's actually manipulating the gravity field, and it's just moving through a void.
Whoa.
Then air, you could literally, in theory, fly, go into the ocean, cruise around, pop back up, fly around, go to space. You remove the barriers of the normal propulsion that we have.
But what is your perspective after the incident versus before the incident? Like, how much did it change the way you view the world and our place in the world?
For me, I never believed that we were alone. It's just me. I just look up and go, there's way too many stars up there for us to be the only one in life. After it, it makes it a little more clear to go, one, my questions are, where'd it come from? That's the biggest one. Where'd it come from? What was it doing? And then I've asked, why me? I mean, why did I happen to be, because you can say wrong place, wrong time.
Right. Or right place, right time.
Or right place, right time. For me, it was, I think there's more out there. And if I could get word out to anyone, it's like, especially the debunkers of, one, quit trying to debunk it, because it is what it is. There wasn't a system glitch. This was a real incident that happened. And number two is, let's open our aperture a little bit and start thinking outside of the box. If you go, you look at it and go, hey, it's this non-reactive propulsion. Well, it's because when we came up with propulsion, the people long before us came up with a reactionary propulsion system, and that became our standard. Had we done something different where we developed non-reaction, we might look at something like a gasoline engine and go, holy cow, how's that thing work?
Right.
We wouldn't have that idea. So, I think there's, if you look at it and go, people thought Einstein was kind of nuts, and we're still proving his theories today. And what we're learning is that he was right. And he was right. There was a time when the Earth was flat, except for some people in California. The Earth isn't flat; it's round.
It's not just people in California; they're all over the place.
There's not an ice wall.
Right.
So when you look at that and you go, a lot of the stuff that we thought was true isn't true. It's totally been changed. So for me, I just say, I think let's get outside of the box and go, if we can develop a technology that would, and I don't look at it from a military standpoint, because it would be a game changer from a military standpoint. Technology like that would be a game changer for mankind completely. I mean, it would literally, everything that we do, and we don't know exactly, you could, do you want that system in a car? People have trouble driving in 2 dimensions, let alone 3.
Right.
It's kind of like your joke last night. I mean, you can't even handle the vaping thing, let alone driving a car that goes up, down, works in 3 dimensions.
Well, that was what they wanted helicopters to be. They wanted to be flying cars.
Yeah, if you get out on the road, you see how people drive. And I always laugh because people think, well, we're 3-dimensional. Like, we know that this table is not the floor, but really humans are 2-dimensional people. And you learn that, especially when we would fight, if you can really work in the 3rd dimension, which is up, and you go, well, we are 3-dimensional. I go, no, if you look at like a tall building is, 1,700 feet high, the big ones. And you go, no, for an F-18 to do a split S, which is go from up here and just do a vertical 180-degree turn, so you're going this way and you go down here. It's like 2,500 feet. And that's tight. That's a tight turn for a jet, unless you're running like vectored thrust stuff, but everything has a cost. So if you do some big Hayaka, you bleed off energy, there's a cost associated with that. That to a pilot, that's 3 dimensions. To most people on Earth, you go, no, I look at a hill and go, I don't want to walk up that thing.
Right.
And in an airplane, it's a totally different thing. So if we just open up that expanse, for what we're trying to do for technology and go, is there another way? Because we still build suckers and blowers, which is the jet engine. Mm-hmm. We just refine the internals, the turbines, to get them to be more efficient. Where I go, why don't you just put your efforts someplace else? Like I was talking to, there's a whole realm of physics that really doesn't get explained, and it's. I was talking to Steve Justice about it. It's more into the magnetics type side that we don't spend a lot of time on. And I know he said when he was working at Skunk Works, he did it's called IRAD, Internal Research and Development money, that he would fund to try and look at some of these other technologies for propulsion. And he's now since retired, but really impressive to talk to him at the level that you can, which is, for us would be an unclassified level. But, the stuff that goes on behind closed doors, there's reasons for it, because if a technology like that got out where someone could rapidly reproduce it after all you've done, or they got it first, you think of the atomic bomb, Germans almost had it, we got it, Russians were working on it, we got it first. Changed the world. Literally changed the world when we detonated the first one. And you go, I'm not going to get into the politics behind it, but now we had it, and now it was the race everyone else because they had to get on equal par because it's a destabilizing thing. And now all of a sudden, if you develop a technology like this and you keep it to yourself, you've got something that no one else has, and it's a huge leap. I mean, it's a quantum leap. Do you share it because it's a mankind thing? Or do you keep it for yourself? And that's, right now, it's not for me to decide. I'm just Dave.
Well, it's fascinating that some other method of propulsion could have been established in some other place.
Yeah.
And that we're experiencing it, or that you've experienced it, and some other folks have experienced it in action. And I just think for us as people, as human beings in 2019, it's really easy to think that what we have now is so amazing, and that what we have now is the pinnacle of discovery, and that what we have now is, with our electricity and with our LED screens, and that we are experiencing like the height of technology. When if you're some creature from some other planet that is got easy access to element 115 and some gravity propulsion system, you're looking at us like we're digging holes in the side of a mountain to protect ourselves from the rain. We're cave people.
Yes.
Yeah.
What we here on Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at like a first world, like a United States
Sure.
or, the developed nations. And then you go to some of these other and go, people are still getting their water out of a hole in the ground with a bucket.
Right. Or people in rainforests that are living these indigenous lifestyles. Yeah.
So, take them something. I mean, take them one of these flat screens down to one of these tribes that no one's ever seen and go, hey, look.
Yeah.
And start showing them pictures of themselves that you're shooting real time or video that's feeding directly
Right.
into it. They'll freak out.
They'll think it's
like,
magic.
Would you capture my soul?
Right.
So it's where are we at and what are we going to do and what can we do?
Did it change the way you look at life? I mean, even though you knew that, or you had this feeling that we were not alone just from looking at the stars, but when you actually see the thing, like how, I mean, I would imagine that has got to really shift your perspective.
I don't know if it shifted my perspective, but it was more of it's a validation.
A confirmation.
To go, yeah, I've always like, yeah, oh God, there's a lot of stars. And then you see something like this and go, well, maybe we're not. Because that pushes you to the next point to go, if one lands in my front yard, then I'll be 100% sure that we are not alone because it's sitting in my front yard. But, I mean, I got within a half mile of this thing, which is, people go, well, a half mile is pretty far away. Again, not when you're flying an airplane. Half mile is like really tight.
When they bring you have these conversations with high-level government officials, how long are these conversations?
So I've talked to 3 different groups of people.
This is post the New York Times article? So the New York Times article in 2017.
Yes.
And then our government.
The other pilot that was involved had been to D.C. multiple times. This is how I got in touch with Lou. She had called me and said, hey, I need to talk to you. So I called her and I said, what's going on? She says, hey, has anyone called you about the tic-tac? And I said, no. She goes, I've been to the Pentagon like a half dozen times. And they'll take me in and anywhere from Starbucks to, inside of a vault. And she goes, and they'll talk to me about the story, and then they'll show me a picture. Something goes to look like this. And then she gets pretty frustrated and goes, we call it the tic-tac because it looked like a tic-tac. What part don't you get? I mean, go get a thing of tic-tacs and look at it.
When they're saying, are they showing actual crafts that they have?
No, not pictures that they have, but a video from someone else. Like they'd show the gimbal video. Hey, did it look like this?
Okay.
And it was no. So... And that's when I told her, I said, well, just tell this guy that you're talking to, just give him my name and number. I go, I'll talk to him. It's not a big deal to me. And that started. So when I got asked, multiple times to go down and talk to people, one of them was supposed to be 20 minutes. And these are important people. Getting 20 minutes of some of these folks' time is like, that's a huge deal. So we went in thinking, okay, we're going to do the thing, 20 minutes, and then we're in. And an hour and a half later, we came out. I mean, that's the interest. And there were some, you get the group, the folks that come in and out, but there's a few that just sat there and were enamored by what we were saying. Like you're joking. We're like, no, this is all real. I mean, these are pretty senior officials that are taking the time out of their day to take this serious to go, maybe we do need to put a little emphasis on this. I mean, if literally if something can just show up at will and do whatever it wants, and I'd probably at least pay attention.
Yeah, pay attention. What could be done? I mean, what could they do? If you put yourself in a position of one of these high-level government officials, what do you do? Just spend more money on looking at them?
Look at money, though. I mean, I know when the article came out and they talked about the ATIP program that Harry Reid got funded $22 million over 5 years. So it's $4.4 million a year. And you go, everyone's freaking out. Oh, it's $22 million. I go, no, it wasn't $22 million a year. It was $4.4 million. That's not even in the rounding error for the United States. We just got approved, it was $750 billion for a defense budget. $750 billion. If you took $100 million out of that, it's not even going to put a dent. And I go, why can't you? If you're only spending $4.4 million a year, and you can actually get some good work done, because you don't need a huge team, because you figure if you look at, I think what's the number, like 10-15% of all these UFOs, like if you look at Project Blue Book, really remained unexplained. And you go, okay, so you can weed out, you can read out me flying over someone in a campfire and lighting my afterburners. So you can go, no, that was Dave being Dave. So you can weed that stuff out. Now you go, now I'm really kind of concentrating the funds. The most important thing, and I talked to the folks when we were talking, because we talked about funding, and I said, let me leave you with this. And I had got some pretty good stuff. I was talking to Chris Mellon, who's a former undersecretary and understands how the government works. So it was where he gave me some really good feedback. And I talked to him, I said, look, I'm all for you guys funding a program, But what you need to do is fund a program that there's going to be oversight over. When I say oversight, I mean because what happens is you go, here's money, but we're going to distribute it in the government. So we're going to distribute it to these 3 different agencies across the United States government. So, I don't just call them agency A, B, and C. So you give it to them, and I'll go back to like the 9/11 stuff where we really had the answer, but all the agencies weren't talking to each other to put all the pieces together. And that's my fear, that you go, hey, we're going to take $100 million of taxpayer money. We're going to fund a program to actually seriously investigate this stuff and look at the technology. But there are 3 different entities working on their own and not talking to each other. So there's got to be a joint collaboration to where we go, we're going to do it, but, Joe's going to be in charge, and you guys are all going to play nice in the sandbox together because we want to get our money's worth, because people will raise the fraud, waste, and abuse flag that we're wasting money on something stupid.
Dude, like, what we do know about UFOs, the one fucking thing we know for sure about UFOs is that they're high energy in a small amount of space. This is classically, it's been documented, the radiation effects of these when they're around. So the injuries people get, you've heard like the sunburns on one side of these and shit, the radiation, the hair falling out.
So that's like from Close into the Third Kind.
But that's from life.
They've actually really had that sunburn on
that's
one
how
side
that's how they made the movie so interesting, was that they took all the cases, the trace cases, the physical cases. That shit happens to people, and sometimes when they have close proximity to a UFO, they get fucked up.
Right.
It's unintentional. People think it's like the propulsion system itself or something.
Well, Walker,
yeah.
Travis Walton, rather. That was his story, was that they brought him aboard the UFO to repair him.
Yeah. I wonder if that's the way he likes to look at it, or if that's what happened. I don't know.
I wonder, did they ever do a study on his brain?
I don't know.
They should, right? I mean, if that guy's telling the truth, or maybe it would be repaired because they took him aboard the craft and supposedly did some medical procedure to him.
I mean, look, we should study this stuff. I think that's the big takeaway of this moment in our history, because we're repeating history. The UFOs have had this huge wave before, and Congress was interested 50 years ago. Multi-nations were studying openly. Now we're back at this point where I feel like there's an opportunity just to be open. We should study scientifically, man.
The problem is, I feel like even though there's people that have sightings, and even though there's some kind of metallurgy evidence, there's so little stuff. It's not like if I want to study sea turtles, I can go find the sea turtles and go study them. This is too hard to grasp. There's nothing there. You know what I'm saying?
You can't replicate it upon demand, which is what science requires, right?
Yeah.
There are some cool thoughts on how to do that. There have been attempts to lure in UFOs with nuclear weapons.
Really?
Yes.
Attempts to like fake that we're going to bait them.
Bait them.
Really?
Well, we'll talk about how I know that later, but it is true. It's not, some of the people I talk with have told me about these.
Right.
So people that are in a position to know.
And have told you can't talk about this?
Yeah,
or
like
you can't
the
divulge
basic,
your sources?
Yeah, there we go. The base is 14 out of 14 times or something. I might be getting that number wrong. That there was a way to bait every single time these UFOs would come in when they were transporting nuclear weapons or something like that. Now, if that information is true, then you would have a method. You would have a way to study this, right? See, I think we're reinventing the wheel so much. Like Avi Loeb at Harvard, and NASA just. I think this is true. NASA just announced they're going to repurpose their satellite to look for UFOs. I think that's a real article, Jamie. If you can find that,
repurpose their satellites.
That's my word, repurpose. But yeah, NASA made an announcement that they're going to kind of repurpose their satellites.
Look at that.
To look for. Is that
NASA
correct?
wants to turn satellites into alien hunters?
There we go.
That's just from a couple weeks ago.
Cool.
Wow.
It's
Click
not,
on that.
my memory's been so bad.
No,
it's nice
you're dead on, brother.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
NASA is looking to repurpose satellites. You said it perfectly.
Okay.
This is fucking crazy. Asked why the space agency is embarking on such a seemingly fringe subject, it said one of its remits is to look for life outside of Earth. Fascinating. Okay, so last month, the U.S. Space Agency announced it was launching an 8-month inquiry into investigate hundreds of unexplained UFO sightings. The inquiry is being held by Dr. Thomas. What's with all these names? Zurbuchen? How do you say that, I think?
Zurbuchen.
Dr. Tom Zurbuchen of NASA's Science Mission Directorate, who has been investigating whether satellites in space could be repurposed to give another view on strange aerial phenomena reported from Earth. Speaking to journalists in London this week, Colonel Pam Melroy, the deputy administrator of NASA, said the team is going to be looking at questions like, do we have sensors that can see things? Take another look at the evidence. One of the big questions that Thomas asked is, we have a ton of satellites looking down at Earth. Are any of them useful? I mean, before you build a rover that's going to Mars, you ask yourself, what's a sensor I have to build to detect the most interesting things? So they're really going to focus on that. Wow. Well, scroll up there. How would you get the evidence you need to be able to determine if it's an optical phenomena or some other kind of phenomena? Even the greatest scientists were ridiculed. Bill Nelson, a NASA administrator, told journalists that he had read all the classified documents relating to UFOs and was convinced that nobody knew what they were. Questioned as to why NASA was embarking on such a seemingly fringe subject, Nelson said that one of the space agency's remits was to hunt for life outside of Earth, and that in the past, even the greatest scientists have been disbelieved and ridiculed. Remember that one of our missions is to reach out to see if there is life, he said. That's why we're digging on Mars right now. Is the possibility of life in something as big as the universe? Of course, there's a chance in somewhere as big as that, conditions similar to Earth existed, and some other kind of life form developed. The last time I saw you, I don't think the Pentagon had come out, because it was actually during the pandemic where the Pentagon came out. I don't think we talked about this last time, did we?
I don't think so.
Where they said they've recovered alien crafts. They said, we have recovered crafts that are not from this world.
Exactly what they said.
Up, young
Pull that up. That exact quote from.
It's a sketchy.
Pentagon.
It's
Pentagon
actually
didn't say it. Yeah.
the guy from Vegas, the guy from Nevada. What is his name? Is he a senator from Nevada?
Harry
Reid.
Harry Reid.
Someone that
Former senator.
Pentagon former contractor was the one that said it.
Oh, you're thinking of you're thinking of he's got an aerospace business out there that was funded in part by taxpayer money. That it was a sort of a project of Harry Reid's in a sense. I'm struggling to remember the guy's name. I should remember it because we've talked about it.
Lear?
No. Aerospace buddy of Harry Reid's. Can we Google?
Is that the Skinwalker Ranch guy?
No. This is this guy is. They've actually still got a business. He's still developing right now. I think what he's trying to do is develop portable living.
Yeah, that is a Skinwalker Ranch guy.
That is right.
Yeah,
okay, sure.
that is the guy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
The name's on the tip of my tongue.
I know. But if he's the one who said it, then it doesn't come from the government. The ATIP, which is that Advanced Aeronautical Threat Identification Program.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the most interesting thing that the government has come out and said is that yes, we did have an operation within the Pentagon, an office within the Pentagon. That was there to identify unidentified threats.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we get something up in the air and we can't identify it. It's like the tic-tac sightings by David Fravor. Yeah. And those guys. So
David Fravor, for anybody who's in this, please listen to him on the Lex Friedman podcast, because I had him on, but I had him on with Jeremy Corbell, who's the documentarian behind that Bob Lazar movie, and by himself, Fravor and Lex, they get deep into the technical specifications of their aircraft and why he believes that no known aircraft could have ever operated the way it is, and also how it was blocking their tracking devices, which is technically it's an act of war, but also it showed that it was aware of them.
Yeah, he's very credible. I mean,
Yes.
he's extremely credible. He's a good guy. I've talked to him a handful of times. I've sat and reviewed the gun camera footage with him as he's walked through it. Very credible, right? So that was a perfect example of why they had set up ATIP, right, within the Pentagon. Apparently not funded anymore as an operating office.
Because they probably got some new shit to tell you about, because
exactly.
that one got out there.
Got to close it down.
That's in the New York Times
that's
already.
What you do.
That is what they do, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, or you reallocate the. It's all in the budgets, which is again kind of why we do this show for Science Channel called Black Files, because we're chasing the budgets.
Finally,
right?
Jesus Christ!
I know.
We're
I got like 2 other promos I haven't even touched yet. So if I can help, people are thinking, "Wow, he's really slow this time." But yeah, if you follow the money, it's like an investigation, right? If not so much follow the money, but if you start pulling on those threads around budgets, or it's like with investigation and asset tracing, getting bank records is absolutely key if you can, legally get them during the course of an investigation. But with military operations, oftentimes those budgets for the most interesting projects and operational elements get buried into something else. Right? That's just the way it works, right? And so that's where you
maintain
secrecy. But that's it's so it's an exercise, and we don't obviously with Black Files we don't identify anything that's currently classified, because we'd all end up in the who's gal. But we're looking at some pretty interesting things, and it speaks to where programs are going currently, right? You look at some things in the recent past and you say, okay, this is where this new development is heading.
And isn't it? It's an interesting conversation too, because for people that don't like secrecy and they don't think we should have secrecy, for national security and for the development of things, like the stealth bomb, or like a lot of other things that show that we have military superiority over our enemies, it's important to have secrecy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can't function as a secure and safe and lasting republic without it, right? There's just no way. Now, people will say, "Oh, we should have transparency around everything." No, you got to draw the line. You got to you want to not overdo it, right? So you want to.
That's where I was going to get to,
right? But
the overdo it part.
But you've got to have the ability to protect sources and methods. You've got to have a sort of a need to know policy around certain things, right, within national security concerns and the intelligence community. But yeah, again, it can be used as a weapon. You can overdo it. But
if you don't have security, you don't have the Manhattan Project.
Right. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
We don't. I mean,
you don't have many things. That
you think about
keep us safe.
You think about. China. Look at this. Now I'm deep into the show, and I'm just now bashing China for their theft of economic intelligence. But you look at the effort that they make in terms of stealing our intellectual property and research and development. Right? I mean, the idea that you don't protect your most critical information, whether it's operationally important or whether it's just, again, R&D for development of materials, and that speaks to the strength of your economy and so yes, certain things have to be kept secret. But again, you can overclassify things, which tends to happen, right? You tend to, just because you're trying to protect everything, right? So I'm just going to overclassify, and that also creates a problem then. So, trying to strike a balance, it's a human endeavor, so you never really get it right, I don't think. But
this is where people feel like the line, when it comes to alien spacecrafts, and if the government knows and is aware of alien spacecrafts and alien technology, this is where the line of secrecy and being sworn to oath, where it crosses over into a need to know for the general public. Bob Lazar's story, the story about him working for S4. He was a physicist for Los Alamos Labs. That's been proven. He was on the employee list there. He also was listed in a newspaper article when he put a jet engine in a Honda. That he was a physicist at Los Alamos Labs, and he was a propulsion expert. Says he worked for Area S4, and says he was hired to back engineer UFOs, and says they never could figure out how these things worked, and that they were never going to, because they really couldn't, because they were trying to keep everything secret. They couldn't share all this information with the general scientific community. And he's like, science doesn't work in these containment bubbles. You can't compartmentalize science and have only a few small propulsion experts sit around and try to figure this thing out, and then they fire them, bring new guys in, and no one ever gets it.
Right, which is what you use against. I mean, if I'm trying to pull information out of another nation, right? If I'm targeting intelligence from, and they're developing some new ballistic missile system or whatever it is, propulsion system, then yes, I'm going to play off of that desire on the part of engineers and scientists to have a collaborative community, right? And the Chinese do that very well, right? And particularly when they target Chinese Americans working here in the U.S. in potentially sensitive positions. This idea that we're all working together, and this is just what we should be doing. We've done. My company has done work trying to protect information for companies, pharmaceutical companies, is a good example, where the scientists, the engineers, the doctors need that free flow in their mind. They got to have this free flow and this collaborating and this sharing of information. And meanwhile, you got the other side, where the bean counters and security personnel and all that, and they're going like, no, this is the lifeblood of our company. We can't risk losing this information, so we got to lock it down to the degree we can. Those two things don't necessarily coexist all that well together, but you got to try to find some medium. So, I think, there's the fact that the government came out and talked about ATIP. I thought it was a big step, right? That's a big deal for them, right? I mean, that they would discuss that. Do I think that they're hiding? Again, I don't take anything. I wouldn't take anything off the table, right? Frankly, because I don't know, right? So it would be stupid of me to say no. They definitely aren't holding on to some propulsion system that isn't of this world or whatever. If I don't know it, I can't say absolutely not. But
wouldn't you know though?
Oh, sure, yeah. But I mean, what do you do? I mean,
grease a few palms.
Is that it? Yeah.
Get in there.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Yeah, I guess you that.
I'd let the government right now. Listen.
Yeah.
I'll say a lot of shit that's not true. Just get me to the UFOs. Show me the UFOs, and I'll lie.
Oh God! No, we're doing. It is.
It's not true.
Yeah,
I'm lying. No, don't tell me.
No.
I'm lying.
Yeah.
Because if you tell me, I'm telling everybody.
He's telling everybody.
It's a lie.
Look, they know.
Sure, they know that.
They know that. They're writing it down right now. Whatever.
Anyway, I talked to David for 4 hours. Why did I bring that up? Because
David Fravor. Let's explain who David Fravor was.
Yeah.
He's a fighter jet pilot for the Navy, and he discovered a UFO off the coast of San Diego that, when they tracked it, went from 60,000 feet to 1 feet in a second or less. They don't know how fast it went because it's the blip of a radar, but the thing traveled in an insane way that defies all of our understanding of propulsion, all of our understanding of physics. And this thing also actively was blocking their tracking systems, which is an act of war. If the Soviet Union or China was doing that, that's technically an act of war. So this thing was doing something that showed that it was intelligently aware of the fact that they are using tracking devices to try to lock in on it. And it behaved and moved in a way that defies all of our understandings of propulsion systems. It didn't give off any heat signature. And the people from the Navy that he was communicating with saying, yeah, we see these every now and again. We don't know what the fuck they are.
So the thing I was going to say, there's a lot of interesting things to say about this, but I just remembered that it felt like from that entire experience that because it didn't have a Chinese or a Russian flag on it, whatever he saw, is we tend to, just the entire system doesn't want to acknowledge it. Like you don't know what to do with it. So they actually, most of like when you return back to the ship, and there's a bunch of pilots that that saw it. There's a lot of people that witnessed it, and there's also the video. The majority of the people didn't know what to do with it. They just went on with their day like nothing happened. They kind of made fun of each other or whatever for yeah, sure, bro, you saw aliens, but like they didn't know how to comprehend it. That's what I meant. Like, if we encounter life from elsewhere in the universe, we think we would be as a population excited, but it feels like, just like with Bigfoot, we're excited by the mystery when they're just out of reach, but when they're like among us. There's so many mysteries and cool things among us that we just kind of take them for granted.
Yeah.
And we don't even, or ignore them, actually, even worse. We ignore them.
We get used to things.
And that was the weird thing. The biggest mystery to me about what David Fravor saw, and then also with the other videos in 2014, something like that, the Go Fast, is like it wasn't a bigger deal than I thought it would be. Like,
well, big deal was when the Pentagon came out and said that they have recovered some vehicles that are not of this world. Now, they didn't expand on that. There hasn't been more conversation about that. But this is a purely speculation. My speculation is they are slowly spoon-feeding us information to allow people to be more comfortable with the inevitable arrival of something. And if they believe that something's coming, they don't want it to happen all at once. You see what happens just with the pandemic. You see what happens with George Floyd. You see what happens with anytime there's a big shock to our system and there's chaos in the streets, it's unmanageable. And if the UFOs came in the middle of something like that, like Jesus Christ, like who the fuck knows what would go down? If I was someone who's in a position of power, I would say, listen, this information's going to get out. It's inevitable. So why don't we let people know now? Just give them, just in words, say, we have recovered crafts that are not of this world. Say something crazy like that. Print it in the New York Times, get it out there, and then slowly drip out more information. When they see these videos, they'll get more and more accustomed to it. And then eventually to be like masks. Like you walk down the street, everybody has a mask on. You don't even think about it.
yeah, but okay, so
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I totally. And this is such a fascinating question. If the government is in possession of an alien spacecraft, what is the right way to release that information?
The real problem is if it's more potent than any weapon that any civilization has currently on this planet. So if the United States is in control of this vehicle that is more potent and can do things that, like, if you really do have something that can go from 60,000 feet to 1 foot in under a second, that defies all of our understandings of speed, right? I mean, that's so fast. If you could do that,
well, the arguments against, because it could be human-created technology too that's just 15, 20, 30 years out, like the stealth bomber was developed secretly. So what defies, it's our perception of its movement capabilities is what defies. But there could be some tricks on perception that, I mean, that's the whole point with a stealth bomber, is it's difficult to detect.
Sure.
And so there could be same kind of tricks on perception that you could just be playing different kinds of amazing secret human-created technology that is able to deceive.
I mean, but the thing about it is they tracked it. It wasn't just that it was the human eye that saw this and it's deceptive, but also like the stealth bomber. You know, the way it's designed, it blocks radar, or radar doesn't catch onto it. I think it is possible that some human-created technology that's so far advanced from anything that we're currently that we currently understand, like in terms of like mainstream propulsion experts and fighter pilots like David Fravor and military people, it is possible that some civilization, one of the big civilizations on this planet, whether it's China or Russia, has come up with something that's above and beyond what everybody knows. But it's not likely. It's not likely that they've made that much of a leap.
And you're on the other side, if it's alien technology. See, I'm more optimistic. To me, as a scientist and engineer, and actually David Fravor says this too, in this time of pandemic, in this time of like just hard negative news everywhere, there would be nothing more inspiring than the government in an inspiring, like Neil deGrasse Tyson way, coming out and saying we have not releasing the videos like they did, which is, I don't know if you know, but they just put videos on a website like there's nothing. It's just videos. It's just like with like some boring documents that describe like nothing. They're not inspiring. We're not talking about like Neil deGrasse Tyson or like Carl Sagan Cosmos style, like a beautiful, inspiring. What is more inspiring than an alien spacecraft? Look, there's a fascinating mystery here. There's nothing more inspiring to us humans than that there's life out there, intelligent life out there.
But how would you handle it? Like, let's imagine you are the leader of the United States. and you find out, or whatever, the head of the Navy military intelligence program, whatever, whoever you are, you're a person that's in a position where you realize that this thing is from another world, and you have this responsibility to try to somehow or another publicize this.
Yeah,
like
I would approach it 100% from the perspective of science. Here's a mystery. So forget weapon. Like you mentioned, there's this inclination to think like, how can I figure out a way to use this as a weapon to destroy Russia or China, as opposed to seeing it like going to Mars, colonizing Mars, or going to the moon originally. There is some competitive element, but mostly it's a human pursuit of understanding and human pursuit of overcoming our limited knowledge to sort of unlock mysteries of this universe. From a physics perspective, from an engineering perspective, I would release all the information I have and release it in a way that gets the Neil deGrasse Tyson folks in the loop. So it's almost like an inspiring effort for us as a humanity to understand what the hell this thing is, versus let's keep it secret and see if we can use it as a weapon.
Well, I appreciate that you think that way, because you're a scientist and you're thinking about it in a very positive way to try to expand our education and our understanding of this thing, and maybe we could use it for good. But you got to realize that anything that surpasses any and all technologies that we currently enjoy in terms of fighter pilots and jets and military superiority, if there's something that just is above and beyond all, if everybody has a Model T and you have a Ferrari, or better yet, you have a Tesla, you have a Model S, and everybody's got a Model T, and you're in a race. Like, you have something that is so far above and beyond what everybody else has. It's not really a fair race. It's a joke. You'll dominate. If you have a Model T and the other person has a Tesla, and you're racing, and the winner gets to decide who has all the food, who gets all the women, who lives in the nice house, like, you're gonna win every fucking time, right? Now, if you have a UFO, if you have a spaceship that comes from another planet where they're 1 million years more advanced than us, they've had 1 million years of evolution and technological evolution, dealing with elements that are common on their planet that have to be created on a particle collider here, and they only exist for a brief amount of time. If they have something like that that's powered by something that we can't even imagine, and you figure out how to use that here on Earth, you'll have technological superiority over every other civilization, every other country.
In that technological superiority, it's so funny us chimps are like still talking about our village. We want our village to be better than the next village. When there's an alien civilization that's 1 million years more advanced, that can easily destroy us if it wanted to, or actually understands the nature of existence in this universe on levels that are like we chimps talk about, like meditation and finding inner peace. Like, it understands on such a deeper level, like the nature of consciousness, the nature of intelligence, the meaning of life, all of that weird stuff that we're so obsessed with, it understands at another level. And here we are thinking about what the Russians are doing versus like understanding that mystery. I think in the face of that mystery, of something that's far more intelligent than us, I think we can't, it's a ridiculous notion to think we're anything but one human village. And in terms of weapons, because you said like get all the girls or whatever, I think the weapons thing is the key thing. And we already, at least the major nations, have all the weapons we need to destroy each other. It's like we don't need extra weapons. It feels like your hypothesis would be like, if an alien technology was here and we'd figure it out, we'd be able to have something that destroys other chimp villages an order of magnitude more efficiently than nuclear weapons, thereby having an asymmetrical, sort of from a game theory perspective, power over other nations. And we can tell China what to do, we can tell Russia what to do. That's the perspective from which they're thinking. I'm
not even saying that they're thinking that way. I'm thinking a human would think that if they had control of this vehicle. I'm not saying that the aliens would think this way. I'm thinking also that we are constantly innovating. When you talk to people that are designing jets and planes and fighter pilots, and they're talking about new systems that they've created and new weapons, they don't just sit back and say we have enough weapons to destroy Russia and China and the rest of the world combined, so we're just going to stop. This is not how human beings innovate. Human beings are in this constant state of wanting the newest, greatest innovations. We want to improve upon every single existing invention until we hit some sort of singularity point or whatever the fuck we're striving for as a culture. And that would be that propulsion system. If you do really have something that can go from 60,000 feet to 1 foot in less than a second, you're dealing with something that we don't understand. We can't do that right now. And if you could figure out how to do that and propel people that quickly, it would be a game changer. Now, how much of a game changer? What does that mean? Well, we're in this weird place where we kind of agree to not use our best weapons, right? Like when there's a face-off between the United States jets and a Russian jet, and they come close to each other, like over China or something like that. It's weird because we're not shooting at each other, but we're real close. And even the missiles that we have, they're not nuclear. Like but we're involved in a skirmish with another country. But we don't use all our weapons. Like if we approached war the way people approached war in the Middle Ages, we would just nuke the fuck out of everybody that talks shit, right? Yeah. Anybody, what did China just say? What did they just say? Fucking launch those missiles. Fuck those people.
Instead of Twitter.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're already in this place where we don't use our best stuff. So if we had something that made us fly better and fly faster, the real question is, how much would that change the world? I don't know how much it would. If we got in control of some UFO and we're able to get to China quicker, how much of a difference would that make in terms of like the way they responded to our military? We're in this position now where there's multiple countries that have the ability to destroy other countries. There's Iran has some sort of a nuclear program. Pakistan has a nuclear program. India has a nuclear program. Of course, the United States, Russia, China. There's many countries that have the ability to fucking wipe out huge numbers of the population like that. Just launch. Just one crazy, psychotic leader who just decides to just, listen, we're going to fucking make our mark here. Everybody together on 1, 2, 3, go. Boom. Damn, Seattle.
You must be, because you're here, right? You feel time, right? I've only been a few times when I felt
not all the time. I've done them before. The biggest ones I ever felt when I first moved here. I moved here in '94, and it was right after the Northridge earthquake. Yeah. And I was in, and I felt, I guess it was like a 5.5, where the whole thing. It was weird.
Yeah.
It gave me the impression that the house that I was living in, or the apartment that I was in, was made out of the same stuff, like a box that a refrigerator would come in.
Yeah.
You know how you kind of move it around?
Yeah, you can go and play inside. Yeah.
The whole thing was just moving like easily left and right. I was like, holy shit.
Well, that was I've only had times that I've, felt on. I'm like it's, at first I thought it was a truck. I thought a truck was rolling by.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and somebody's like, no, man, that was an earthquake.
And the one that I experienced was nothing. I mean, it's a baby one. The ones that they're getting, right now somewhere in the world. I mean, there's always something that's like a 5 or a 6.
Yeah. So this goes back to planets, right, will be like way more plate tectonically active. So, I think good planets be like really hard to find.
Yeah.
So, it may be that the solution. The other solution is, the way he's found out about it was I did that article about the previous civilization, civilization on Earth. And, one solution could be that, look, they were, that somebody did arrive and spent some time on Earth. But if it was like 500 million years ago, they only lasted, right? Every civilization has a finite lifetime. They only lasted for, even a few 100,000 years. They wouldn't leave. There'd be no record left.
There'd be nothing
left.
Do you think possible that something's ever visited here? And because that is the big question, and that's the The thing that gets the UFO dorks more jazzed up than anything is the possibility that we've been visited.
Yeah, not in the. I'm definitely not UFOs. I have two arguments against UFOs. One is as you know, a friend of mine, Jason Wright, says is like, look, as astronomers, man, we're finding all those asteroids. We're finding a little rock moving. Nobody looks at the sky harder than we do, right? And anything, unless you want to go to the conspiracy theories, we would have found something. My other argument is like, what's lights? You know what I mean? People, oh man, I saw lights in the sky, and then they moved around, and then they disappeared. But they don't really want to be seen. I'm like, well, why do they have headlights on? Like, why just turn off the freaking lights? It just
why would they have?
Like what? You came from another civilization and you can't get around without your high beams?
What the fuck are you seeing with those lights?
Right.
You're not seeing shit.
Yeah, right.
When was the last time you saw, planes have lights so other planes don't run into them. They don't have lights so they can see where they're going.
Yeah, so what? So they have, right, exactly.
Yeah.
The planes have lights so people can see them. So if they're
That's
here,
it,
they're mysterious, they don't want to be found, then turn off the freaking lights. So,
well, they wouldn't need lights.
Right.
Yeah, they always have lights.
Yeah,
that's true.
it. People are always, oh man, I saw lights in the sky, and then they move back and forth, and so I just think
also human memory. Memory is horrible.
Yeah,
and memory of events that are stunning, or shocking, or unnerving, or you think you saw something.
Right, they've done all research even in trials, right, where people, see things going. So I just UFOs, I'm just kind of like.
But possible that there could be life on other planets, and it's possible that there could be intelligent life on other planets, and we send probes to Mars. Why wouldn't? And I think that if they do send something here, they're going to send something without biological life inside of it.
Yeah, what's a really interesting question is like, we're talking about like what will we evolve into in a million years? Maybe possible that biology is a short bit of intelligence.
Yes,
you build machines, and the machines become that's a real possibility that silicon makes a lot more sense than wetware.
Well, they probably think of artificial intelligence as artificial.
Right,
it's definitely real.
Right. Yeah. No, that's exactly.
It's not fake. It's right there.
Right.
It's like there's artificial milk. You know what I mean? But it's a liquid. It's an actual liquid.
Yeah.
There's not an artificial life. It's just silicon created life.
Right. And that's again the idea that this may be what the biosphere solution to spreading itself.
Right.
Getting it maybe that silicon that's a kind of a normal phase. I am super skeptical about the whole human thing about we're going to download ourselves into computers.
Have you ever gone to one of the conventions and talked to those dorks?
No, there's some serious dorking going on there.
Well, there's geniuses in those dorks too. It's really interesting. It's like they're wholly committed to this prospect of downloading themselves. Have you talked to Kurzweil before?
No, but I've read his stuff.
I had a chance to interview him a few years back for Sci-Fi.
He's super smart. That dude is
beyond
super smart.
But goddamn, is he committed to it? And then when you get to it, you realize that what he actually wants to do is recreate his father. Yeah, his father died when he was young, and he wants to be able to, through memories and photographs and what he knows about his father, literally recreate his father be able to have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
He was talking about this.
Right.
But what he's doing is he's going way, way into the future, into the possibilities of, he's not seeing 5 years from now, we're going to be able to send, gigabyte pictures through the mail. No, he's saying, let's think of if you keep going exponentially and electronics and technology and innovation keeps continually accelerating, we could potentially get to the point where it's the impossible. Well, you would be able to recreate human beings based on your knowledge of them, and they'll be able to come up with some sort of a program where he'll be able to have a conversation with his father.
Yeah, see, I think that I think it's it's true about the possibility of singularity in technological development, but it's not going to be as know. I think we seriously I've done some work as an interest of mine about mind. What is mind? What's the relationship between mind and matter? And I think we have a serious misunderstanding. We don't understand consciousness very well at all. So the idea that your consciousness into a computer, I think it's pretty, there's a shitload of assumptions in there about what mind is and the relationship between your neurons and awareness. Yeah. So that's why I think those guys, it's a little bit of a religion. You know what I mean?
It is a little bit of a religion.
We will transcend and so it's
well, 45 is the new benchmark for whatever reason. That's the new number.
They're going to keep pushing it back. For. It's going to be every other, every other. We thought it was 2045. We really meant 2065.
Well, we went to 2045 conference. Me and my friend Ari and Duncan, and we got to talk to some of these guys, and it's really fascinating. And one of them had created some robot that was supposed to be him, but it didn't work well, so they never revealed it at the conference. It had too many bugs in it.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's intriguing. It's like I want them to keep going. Because, I mean, when are we going to get to Ex Machina? I mean, when are we going to get
talk about good March. So, like, just like simply, he's not beating you over the head with it. It's
no
just
cut moments in that movie.
Yeah, no.
You were like, whoa. The entire, I think that's one of my all-time, top 20 movies.
When she's just emotionless. Just like,
amazing.
Yeah,
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, right. Did you like Annihilation? I liked it.
I didn't like it as much, but I liked it. It was very weird, and the ending seemed like some producers put their jizz in the soup. It's just like
back to panspermia.
Yeah, what's happening here? Who made this part?
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, and the danger with anything when it comes to AI and stuff. So here's an interesting thing about AI. Like we are making amazing strides. AI.
Yeah.
Now artificial intelligence is different from artificial consciousness. You know what I mean? So like, but the AI that what we're getting out of it is nothing like us, right? So back in the day where people were like, oh, we're going to like model the human brain, and that's how we'll do it. We'll like make programs that are, and what they've learned is like, oh, that doesn't really work that well. So now this is the whole big data thing, like network big data and deep learning, where like they're using statistical, the power of having huge amounts of computing and statistical reasoning, so that like the computer, it'll find the picture of the cat, but you have no idea why it found the picture. It didn't reason, oh yeah, that sort of looks like cat and I like cats. It's just like, oh, these kinds of lines go, deal what it's doing, but it'll act intelligently. And so that's I mean, that's kind of freaky deaky in a lot of ways too. I think I think it's smart to think about the dangers of AI, not necessarily when it takes over.
Dangers to us.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the dangers. Just the dangers to this thing that we are, this weird monkey thing.
Yeah.
That wants to keep being a monkey thing.
Yeah. Well, you mean in the that it's going to replace.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's inevitable. I mean, don't you think that if you go back and interview the single-celled organism before it branched off into multi-celled,
that'd be kind of a boring interview.
Fuck this multi-cell bullshit. I don't single cell at the bottom of the ocean.
These guys are animals, man, with their rock and roll music.
They're going to make cars? Fuck that. I don't want a car, man. I like staying down here.
Yeah.
Like there's a real thought to that we are the wetware that is the problem.
Yeah. No. I think it's fully conceivable. Like, I'd be like, it'll never happen. But as a guy I know who's a philosopher says, there's a certain way in which everything we do with AI right now, it's not like, Watson is playing chess. It's like using Watson to play. It's our tool, and I think the fear is the tool at hand. Not that it like develops a thing where like, I hate humans, Dad, I hate, these things which are not actually thinking. They act intelligently, but they're not thinking. Huge, like, it'll have really negative impact. It'll what is it? There's that example of like, if you design something that is an AI system to make paper clips, it ends up consuming the entire planet, what you told it to do.
Right, you never told a sustainable amount of paper clips.
Right, exactly. So I'm more worried about that than I am of like Skynet, coming over and like, deciding that it's going to, take the bombs on us because it needs to get rid of us.
Well, there's no video evidence of what hit the Pentagon.
Well, there's a video of something. I know there was one hidden camera thing or security camera video that was released, but what they did have is all sorts of pieces of aircraft all over the fucking lawn.
Yeah.
I mean, in a blown up building and a plane that's missing and all the people dead. Like, I'm going to guess it was a plane.
Yeah.
I think people look for conspiracies in everything because it's exciting.
Well,
There's something stimulating about it.
There is. But then actually, I know that you don't believe that everything we're told is the truth away, right? I mean, if we go to something like Gulf of Tonkin incident, right? I mean, that's been proven to be false. Or the fact banana republics, right, where Dole asked us to go take out dictators because they were going to nationalize all the banana plants in that country.
Yeah.
Those things have been now proven to be totally factual, that the United States government went and did that stuff. So the fact that, and in 1960s or 70s, those things were reported the opposite, right? So we can't obviously take everything that we've been reported as truth.
Well, there's definitely been conspiracies that have been put together and executed. And these conspiracies have greatly affected the American people. The Gulf of Tonkin's a perfect example. Another one that they were planning on was Operation Northwoods.
Yes.
Operation Northwoods was one that they were planning on blowing up a drone jetliner, blaming it on the Cubans. They were going to arm Cuban friendlies and have them attack Guantanamo Bay. They were going to sacrifice American troops and American lives. and they were going to do this in order to get people to be excited about a war with Cuba.
Yeah.
This is a real thing that was signed by the Joint Chiefs of Staff. It was released by the Freedom of Information Act, and it was vetoed by Kennedy. So we know that there were people, at least in 1962, that were planning on shit like this.
Yeah.
So that's a real thing, and the idea that that just went away and no one does that anymore.
It's crazy.
I don't believe that. I think there's most certainly evil people in all fucking sectors of life.
Yes, absolutely.
It's good to have an open mind, but there's also a lot of fucking conspiracy loons that look for...
And they get consumed. Yeah. That's the issue. They get consumed with nothing that I've been told is true.
Yeah.
Which is obviously, like I said, the one far end of the spectrum. And anyone who's that is crazy also.
Yeah, there's people out there think the satellites are fake. And they think that
the moon landing one,
were not real.
And then as flat as the ones where I just shake my head like...
The moon landing one's my favorite.
Really?
I got balls deep in that for years. I was completely
So you
convinced.
think they did not go to the moon?
No, I don't think that anymore.
Okay.
But you know what I think now? I think I don't know.
Okay.
But I do think that it is one of the more fascinating conspiracies that between 1969 and 1972, they had seven attempts, 6 of them successful. Well, they went to the Apollo 13 was the one that they didn't apparently make it, and they had to come back. But that was the only time in history that a human being has been more than 400 miles above the Earth's surface. All the space station missions, all the space shuttle missions, all that stuff is
within orbit.
Yeah, it's low. It's all very low. They went 260,000 miles out and back into deep space, but they had never even flown a chicken out there and see if it comes back alive. Like we really didn't.
Really?
Yeah, no.
I'm not into this one. So
I mean, they did a couple of fly moon, early before they landed on the moon.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, without unmanned drones like what we have on Mars and things like that, we've never really sent a living thing out through the magnetosphere, through the Van Allen radiation belts, into deep space. Have it, I mean, there's all these possibilities of solar flares and anything that would have killed them instantly. And they just did that. And then we haven't been able to do that since 1972.
That's the way.
Yeah.
I've never looked into the moon landing. It's kind of goofy, right?
Well, it's weird. It's a weird one.
Why have we never gone back? It's been 50. Surely our technology is far superior to what it was in 69, right?
The technology is far superior, except that they're not using that technology for manned space travel into deep space like that and to go into the moon. So it's like our technology in all these other areas is superior, but they haven't really worked towards that because they haven't been funded. So the big issue is, in many ways, it's money. Right? There's how much money is there in going to the moon, and it's also very risky to send humans out there. I mean, we're talking about manned missions to Mars now, which may or may not take place by 2030. They're talking about doing that, but it's way cheaper and safer to send robots out there. Like, why risk human lives? It's
they
it's
put
very
robots
retro.
on the moon, right? And they put robots on Mars.
Yeah,
the rovers.
The rovers on Mars are that's the most interesting because they're sending these really high resolution photos of the surface of Mars, and they're running tests and checking for biological life. It's really, really interesting stuff. But between 69 and 72, when they did all this stuff, I mean, there's the technology back then was nothing compared to what they have now in terms of calculations and computers and it's also there's unquestionably some stuff that whether it was images or video that was faked. And I think...
Really?
Yeah.
So like I said, I never looked into this at all.
Gemini 15 is the big one because there's a photo of Michael Collins. It shows him in deep space, and they use it as a press release saying that he was on a spacewalk when it was really an image of him from a test run where there was all this stuff in the background, and he was on this harness, and they just blacked out the background and tried to sell it as him being in space. See if you find that. Michael Collins, what do you...
I was looking up how much it costs to send somebody to space.
Oh, it's insane.
$70 million
there's these
70 million
for a NASA astronaut to fly on a Russian shuttle.
Well, there's all
Jeff
these
Bezos.
private guys trying to sell to places. I mean, those are trying to do it. Musk, obviously.
But that's space. That's just low Earth orbit. That's inside 400 miles.
None of them are trying to go anywhere?
No. Well, they might in the future.
Well, Branson.
It's all low Earth orbit. But they are talking about future visits to the moon and to Mars. But a lot of times I feel like when they say that, George Bush Sr. said that they were going to go to the moon, back to the moon again. In like fucking, when was that? 1990 or whatever the hell that was? People have always said we're going to go back to the moon, but we haven't been back since 1972. Does that mean that we never went? No. But then it gets weird when you find out that Wernher von Braun was a fucking Nazi.
Who?
Warren Braun, the guy he was the head of NASA. He was the guy who organized the moon landings, and he was the head rocket guy. That guy was a legit Nazi. Like, he was wanted by the Simon Wiesenthal Center said that if he was alive today, they would prosecute him for crimes against humanity. They would hang the 5 slowest workers every day in front of his Berlin rocket factory. Oh yeah. No, 100%. I mean, that's what they did. What they did was they took this thing, it was called Operation Paperclip, where when we won World War II, they took all the top Nazi scientists and they secretly brought them over to America. And they did it on the down low so that no one would think like, hey, why do we have a guy named Werner von Braun running the American space program? Well, it's because the Nazi scientists were insanely advanced. So the question is like, well, were they really Nazis, or were they scientists that were under the boot of the Nazi administration? I mean, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not around then. Yeah. But I do know that these are the people that were the head engineers and the people that designed it. Werner von Braun himself was saying how impossible it was, just years before they did the moon landing and years before Operation Paperclip, that it was impossible to go to the moon, or how ridiculously impossible it would be. But technology advanced from then to when 1969 happened to when they did it. I stopped saying that we never went to the moon because I really don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And that's a big part of understanding these conspiracies. It's like,
hard.
You have to really know, how much do I know about rocketry? How much do I know about aerospace? Zero. Yeah. So if I'm running around saying I don't believe people went to the moon, what is it based on? It's based mostly on ignorance, speculation, and the excited feeling that comes with trying to uncover a conspiracy.
Sure, but I think you do have to be a little bit discerning on what you hear. But it is frustrating, and that's where a lot of the conspiracy guys, they think they know more than they do, because you have to come to the realization that you're probably never going to know the real answer with things. Very likely. I mean, some of them come out many years later. We're talking about like Gulf of Tonkin, right? Or Operation Northwoods. Many years later it comes out. But, there's a good likelihood that I'll never know the truth on stuff I read a lot about.
I think with the moon land, way more likely that we went to the moon, but that some of the footage is fake. And I think they probably did that because it's incredibly difficult to film things on the moon. And I think they filmed some stuff in test runs and then tried to pass that stuff off.
Should have brought their iPhone.
Didn't have it back then. They had cameras that they had in the center of their chest. I think
what if they would have been taking a selfie on the moon?
Yeah,
Snapchatting it.
You'd have to take your then you would die. They didn't have a camera that you could put in front of you.
Well, maybe they had clicker buttons they could have with their big gloves on, and they put the thing out, and then they click it, and then boom, Snapchat, Wi-Fi on the moon.
That's what they said. Well, it was that they did it remotely. That's how they captured the video of the lunar module leaving the surface of the moon and panned up and watched it go. That they did all that remotely. It's all. There's some squirrely footage. You ever see the video of them jumping around? It looks like they're on trampolines.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Like they're just bouncing straight up in the air. You're like, well, what the fuck is that? How come the physics are different in different flights? Like in some of the flights, like Apollo 11, they're barely getting off the ground.
Isn't it one where they're walking, but they're kind of going like that?
Well, there's ones like that, and then there's also ones where they fall down. It looks like they're getting yanked up by wires. I think it's entirely possible that some of that stuff was faked. But I think it's way more likely that they actually went to the moon than they didn't. But it's way sexier to think that they faked the whole thing. It's fun. It's fun to think they faked the whole thing. That everybody was quiet about it. And, Neil Armstrong gave this real cryptic speech on the 25th anniversary of the moon mission saying that, there are hidden truths what is the exact quote that he said? Some the great truths that could be revealed, removing some of truth's hidden layers. Like
what if he was giving it away?
It was real cryptic. It was like, what do you? Let's see if you can find it.
I got the video.
Play the video.
He might have been giving it away.
Well, it seemed if you were a conspiracy theory, this would give you a rock hard boner. Because listen to this.
Neil Armstrong made a rare public appearance. Next generation of taxpayers.
We have no. Just play the whole thing so you don't confuse everybody.
In 1994, Neil Armstrong made a rare public appearance and held back tears as he spoke these brief cryptic remarks before the next generation of taxpayers as they toured the White House.
Today we have with us a group of students among America's best. To you we say, we have only completed a beginning. We leave you much that is undone. There are ideas undiscovered, breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers.
What the fuck does that mean? I mean, you're supposed to say, "Yo, I went to the moon, bitch." You're not supposed to say breakthroughs. That
maybe he's giving it away.
Truth protective layers. Like, I don't even understand what that means. The press conference is one of the more fascinating things. If you watch the press conference, again, I was balls deep in this stuff for years. The press conference from 1969 when they returned from the moon is one of the most cryptic, weird things you'll ever see. These guys look like they just stole something and they're being questioned. I've never seen a video where people look like they're more full of shit than that video of the press conference from 1969. It's weird, man. It's weird. They're like fidgety and looking nervous, like they're getting away with something.
So they didn't do it then?
They might have done it. They might have been forced to say some things that they didn't want to say, and that could be part of it.
Absolutely.
You know, they could have done it. But there's a lot of weirdness with the moon landing.
Mm-hmm.
It's if you wanted to have like a conspiracy to wrap your head around that's exciting, it's one of the best ones.
Really, but who benefits?
The States government did because it showed military superiority over the Russians, so we were able to do that.
Sure.
It also, it was the Nixon administration. People were just flat out full of shit.
Well, yeah.
I mean, they were just lying to people left and right back then.
That's government, though.
Yeah, but even more so then because it was unchecked. There was no media.
Social media.
Yeah, there's nothing that would expose them for this. And this stuff, they would air it on TV once in 1969. You would never see it again unless you watched it on film. There's no YouTube where you can go back and watch the astronauts on trampolines video. That's my favorite one. You watch that and you go, what in the fuck is happening there? These guys are bouncing up in the air. Like, how are they doing that? Like, they never did. If you watch Apollo 11 when they were moving around on the surface of the moon, it's just like they're moving in slow motion. And then you go to whatever it was, like Apollo 14 or 15 when they were doing the trampoline thing. They're fucking flying through the air. Have you seen it?
I've not. I know. I've never gotten to the moon thing. The flat Earth thing is ridiculous.
Watch this. And like their feet are hidden. Look at this. Watch these guys bounce up in the air. It's like they're on some sort of wire, like they're being yanked up into the air.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what the fuck are they doing? And they're playing, like falling down, and it's very weird. But it could have been that they were really on the moon, and these guys were fucking cowboys and yahoos, and they wanted to bounce around.
Oh, you were posting those videos.
Yeah, I posted those videos back in the day. Yeah, I had a debate on Penn Jillette's radio show with a guy who's an astronomer, and he wasn't willing to admit a lot of stuff that was a fact, like the fact that Werner von Braun was a Nazi.
Well, why does the flag look so still there?
Well, the flag had a wire, first of all, on the top of it that stiffened it up to make it. But there's videos of the flag moving in a non-existent breeze, which is weird too. And they try to make some logical explanations for why the flag could be moving in a vacuum, and some of it makes sense, but some of it doesn't. Like the wires one is weird. If you watch them fall down, like go to that one right there, Jamie. If you watch, like sometimes they're falling down, and when they're falling down, it looks like they get yanked back up. But I think it might not have been real footage. What they might have done is use some test footage, like right there, Jamie, right there. Let it go. Like, homeboy falls down, and then it looks like he gets yanked back up. Look at this. Whoops.
Oh, he did not. That's not him standing up.
Yeah, what is this?
That's not him standing up. You can't stand up like that.
Right, but you're on the moon. Okay, so you realize you're in 1/6 Earth's gravity.
But there was nothing to make him this.
Exactly.
Right? You can't get up without.
Exactly.
Now we go back to MMA because that's what these freaking folk-style wrestling's the next generation of MMA. Because you have to turn to your base to get up. You can't look at. There's nothing on the ground. How's he going to get the momentum?
He's getting yanked up. Like he would have super abs. He would have to be like a break dancer.
No, you can't because. Okay, maybe a break dancer. Maybe a break dancer. But you can't get up without putting a base down, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really weird. I never saw
weird. Watch it again. Watch him get yanked up.
Yeah, he's got no base.
Yeah.
It almost seems like that little piece is played in reverse.
Well, it almost does. Yeah. It almost does.
Yeah, that he couldn't stand up like that.
But the thing falls down right afterwards, so it wasn't in reverse. I think it's entirely possible that some of the footage was bullshit. But it doesn't mean that they didn't go to the moon.
Yeah.
It means that overzealous people in
and he only had
press...
1 foot on the ground there too.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's true. Look at this. Watch.
So he stood up like.
Look at that. It's ridiculous.
He can't do it.
What? His right foot's down, his left foot's up, and he just goes straight up in the air. It is crazy.
That's fake.
But I've never been in 1/6 Earth gravity, and neither of you.
No,
so maybe it's
Joe,
easier
it's
to
fake,
do.
dude. You can't stand up like that.
You think that's fake?
That
Ben
video.
says we never went to the moon.
I said that video is fake.
That's from television.
Okay, the video guy standing up like that, he got help somehow.
Yeah, well,
you can't stand up like that.
Very well, he could have been on wire. It could have been that they were using that to simulate what it would be like, because they definitely filmed a lot of simulations. They did a lot of that because they wanted to prepare the astronauts. It's entirely possible that some of those simulations got passed off as being an actual video of them on the moon.
Sure.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
Or they faked the whole fucking thing. I wasn't there.
So,
I don't know.
so
I was only
actually,